Well, it's the weekend, and it's time for us to check in with Michael Snyder out on the left coast for his culture blast of the movies. Hello, Michael.
Well, hello, Alex, and hope you had a nice holiday break, and we're plowing forward. It's still summertime where I am, and I'm in the chilly summertime environment of San Francisco for a couple of weeks. So, it's a different thing from Hollywood and L.A. and the desert air, but, I take to it pretty easily, and it gives you a little distance to be away from the entertainment capital. A little distance. But, you understand that because you're in the throes of New York City. I just want to tell you, I go into movies with a chip on my shoulder, and when it's something like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, after I kind of shockingly enjoyed Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the reboot a couple years ago of the famous franchise based on Pierre Boulez's novel and originally starring Charlton Heston as the astronaut, I go into these things and go, they're just capitalizing on something as a proof of concept. But the first film was very cool. James Franco and a cute little chimp, suffering from being weirdly intelligent, and it leads to an entire ape revolt. And you know all about this. And spoiler alert, this is the second film in this rebooted series. And Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, terrific, wonderful, entertaining. It's years down the line. A virus has decimated humanity. The apes are living in Marin County, which is no commentary on those elderly hippies that live there now.
My former home where I was raised.
Those monkeys took over your condo. It's really horrifying. Anyway, they're in Muir Woods. They're having a ball. And they're led by Caesar. And the great motion capture actor, Andy Serkis, who's a pretty damn good character actor away from all the trappings of CGI and animation, plays Caesar, the preternaturally intelligent ape who has, in fact, led his tribe of similarly brightened monkeys into an insular community. But humanity is still alive over in San Francisco, and they're looking for a way to power things up and get back on their feet. And amongst the people leading them, we have that famous ape, Gary Oldman. He's a guy, I'm telling you, man, he's got himself in trouble lately, but he's their leader, and there are people that are ape sympathizers. Jason Clarke plays a guy who's going to try to bring this dam back to life in Marin, so they have a little juice in San Francisco, and his wife is played by Kerry Russell, and their hearts are big, and they embrace these monkeys. But, of course, there's trouble, and there's an angry ape who's been experimented on one time too many. The effects are great. Caesar, as emoted by our hero Andy Serkis, who also is Gollum, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. He's Gollum in the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings films. I got to tell you,
he was King Kong. I mean, we can go on and on.
Wonderful actor.
Well, he's the guy who pioneered motion acting, motion capture acting.
I mean, great motion capture acting, moving. Suspension of disbelief motion capture. Caesar is a fully realized character, and the technology, you and I have talked about this, the technology without any heart or any story, useless. It's just,
right,
just explosions on the screen. They have taken this technique, and it's wonderful in his hands. So I recommend Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. If you've seen the first one, if you haven't seen it, and you like this kind of thing, see the first one on video and then watch this thing in the theaters. I thought it was great. Now, one of my favorite films of the year is coming out this weekend, and it's going to spread to other markets beyond New York and L.A. in the next couple weeks, and it's called Boyhood. And it's an astonishing feat by the filmmaker Richard Linklater, who also did the Before movies, the trilogy, Before Sunset, Before Sunrise, Before Midnight, in whatever order, which follows a couple from their first meeting to their, kind of deeper relationship over years and years, shot with breaks and starring Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. This movie, Boyhood, he began 12 years ago with a kid, and he began shooting the kid and a little girl as a brother and sister, and the parents, who are split up, are played by Ethan Hawke and Patricia Arquette. And he went back, I think, every year and shot more scenes. This is a wonderful look at one boy's childhood from early grade school days to the start of college. And I thought the principal actors in this thing were wonderful. And one of the kids, Lorelei Linklater, is his daughter, and the little boy who plays the kid himself, Eller Coltrane, he's getting his footing in the first few scenes, but he eventually kind of just grows up before your eyes in so many different ways. And it reminded me a little bit of the Antoine Doinel films by Truffaut, a famous series of French movies that began with The 400 Blows, where he kept going back and revisiting the same character. But this thing is all of a piece. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. I was never bored for a second. I thought it was a phenomenal achievement, and you see the family dynamics as the husband and wife are dealing with their breakup. They meet other people. The kids have to react to it. I just thought it was a wonderful movie, and I recommend it highly. It's going to be great on video. It should have a very, very long life. And it also reminded me a little bit of the Up series that began years and years ago in the 60s with 7 Up, and the same director has gone back to these people in England every 7 years and done another documentary. We're seeing all of this, though, in one film. And admittedly, it's not a documentary, but it seems realer than real. He turns the ordinary into the extraordinary as we watch their lives. Very dramatic, beautifully done. Boyhood, one of the best films I've seen this year. And, I hope people check it out and support it. Gabrielle is a film from French Canada about I guess you'd call her developmentally challenged but musically gifted young woman, played by a real musically gifted but developmentally challenged woman. And this is about her relationship in a group with other people who are all in a chorus, and about her attempts to express her independence. And I thought it was, there are real actors working with these developmentally challenged performers. And it was very, very moving and beautifully done and very resonant. And Gabrielle Marion-Rivard, who is obviously as real as can be, is wonderful and heartbreaking and inspiring on screen. Pretty cool film. Land Ho is a little movie about a couple of former brothers-in-law who decided to take a road trip through Iceland just to kind of get past the problems of the past. And very kind of funny, and it's a really resonant and sweet thing about people getting older, and people creating bonds of friendship, and how relationships develop. Even when a husband and wife split up, you may still have a relationship with your somewhat in-laws. And Lando is a little bit about that. I thought it was funny and sweet. It stars these guys, Paul Einhorn and Erland Nelson, directed by Aaron Katz and Martha Stevens. I don't know what they've done before, but I thought this was very, very cool. Land Ho, very entertaining. Life Itself is a documentary about one of my heroes, Roger Ebert, and it was done with his complicity by the director Steve James, who did Hoop Dreams, among other movies, and it's unflinching, brutally honest, very poignant and inspiring. Ebert died recently from complications from the cancer, which I believe was a throat thing, and we see him unvarnished and undaunted, very, very late in his life. After all these surgeries, we see him from a young man. This doesn't flinch at his alcoholism. It doesn't flinch at anything. His relationship with Gene Siskel, the two guys who turned At the Movies into appointment viewing, absolutely delved into here. Great talking head stuff from people, including Siskel's widow. It's a very, very
I saw this about 6 months ago.
What'd you think?
I liked it. It was a very enjoyable film. I knew Roger, and so therefore I had a little investment in it, and it's a little hard to take at times. However,
yeah, absolutely. And his wife, the woman he met late in life, and who actually brought him such joy, Chaz Ebert, is obviously instrumental in getting this thing done as well. And we see their love on screen, and it's quite palpable. A guy won Pulitzer Prizes, but what he really did was make movie criticism kind of a mainstream and acceptable and helpful and engaging, along with Gene Siskel and that TV show he did. A wonderful man. Sorry he's gone. And Life Itself is an interesting and moving memorial to him. I don't know. I'm glad you saw it because I think you would have. Had you not seen it, I would have encouraged you to.
Yeah.
We missed last week, just really quickly, two lame films, Deliver Us from Evil, which is supposedly based on a true story of a police officer who has to deal with demonology, and Edgar Ramirez is pretty pretty hilarious as and fun as a priest who helps him in Eric Bana's character Ralph Sarchi in their fight against demons, and there's an exorcism scene that's pretty hilarious. But the best part about this movie is apparently the devil likes the Doors, because music from the Doors always signifies that the devil's about to show up. We always knew they were satanic. Finally, I got to mention Tammy. It's just not enough to be overweight and obnoxious and overwrought, Melissa McCarthy. Very, very funny in Bridesmaids with that shtick, but she's been beating it to death in film after film. I don't particularly like Mike and Molly, her TV series, and Tammy, which has a lot of talented people involved, including Susan Sarandon as her mom, is just, no, it's her grandmother, excuse me. It's just from some awful, awful stuff. Kathy Bates was roped into this thing, and I just, I don't get it. It's embarrassingly unfunny stuff when the writing is clumsy and obvious, and her shtick is really worn thin. Pardon the expression. I'd like to see Melissa McCarthy do something that's, equal to her comic timing, which is pretty good. Tammy is not it. Anything on TV?
Not really. I can tell you some things to avoid.
Okay.
I would, at all costs, avoid the what's it called? The Leftovers.
Right.
I think it's terrible. I think it's going nowhere. Not living up to any kind of promise. Next week's episode features Christopher Eccleston, who up until now has had a total of 3 lines in 2 episodes.
Wow.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a god-awful, boring show.
I've seen the phrase "avoid the leftovers" taped to my refrigerator. That's all I know.
Yeah, and it also it's let me see here. Oh, the what do you call it? The film with Halle Berry, the show with Halle Berry.
Extant.
Extant's not bad. Not bad. Very beautifully done. A lot of money put into it for a summer show.
Wow, that must mean Spielberg finally is getting his TV producing right, because Terra Nova and Falling Skies were hilariously bad in
He
places.
has done nothing but terrible television. This wasn't also. No, I guess no, it wasn't. I was thinking that no, that was J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, Revolution. Revolution.
I get mixed up between Steven Spielberg and J.J. Abrams, because J.J. Abrams is trying to be Steven Spielberg.
Hey, I will say this. I don't know what you feel about it, but J.J. Abrams teamed up with Christopher Nolan and his brother Jonathan, and I love Person of Interest as an ongoing series. That's the only thing that any of them have done that I feel doesn't insult my intelligence.
I didn't get past episode 2 on that one. So anyway, but there's really precious little to watch. There are summer shows. Defiance is back on. So Dominion, terrible show.
How about Under the Dome?
Under the Dome, first good episode. The first episode this year was very good, written by Stephen King. The second episode sucked. I mean, once you're pheasant under glass, I guess you never go back or something. I don't know. It's a terrible. Again, a Steven Spielberg show, isn't it?
I don't know. Rachel Lefebvre is very beautiful. The female lead.
That does not make a show good.
No, obviously not. It's hilarious at times, but there's this kind of impulse on my part to watch things like True Blood and Under the Dome and Falling Skies and just treat them as comedies. And man, I do laugh. I literally laugh out loud at True Blood now. I just think of it.
I think True Blood this year is so boring, so dull, so uninspired. I can't believe it. I may not even watch it to the end. I mean, and what's the end going to be anyway? How do you end that?
Well, I don't know.
What, hey, all the vampires die? All the vampires become human? I mean, what happens? There's very little that can happen in that scenario.
Well, the dumbest female lead in the history of television is probably Sookie Stackhouse, as played by Anna Paquin. That woman is a moron, but I laugh and laugh and laugh.
Well,
anyway,
I never looked at it as a comedy. I looked at it as a total waste of time.
Speaking of wasting your time, please follow me on Twitter at Culture Blaster.
Yes, we will do that.
Check in at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast on Facebook. Give me a like. Drop in. It'll connect you to this show, this segment, and other stuff.
Okay. We'll see you again next week, Michael.
All righty.
Thanks for being with us, and thank you for being with us. And stay tuned for more fine programs on GabNet. Stay where you are.